Can everybody hear me okay?
I can hear you. I don't know if anybody can hear me. We're just getting ready to start going live. Hang on, we'll be ready to go live very shortly. Let's see what time. We still have 4 minutes, so we'll just wait a little bit longer. Oops. I'm adding pins to everyone so that when you talk, your face will. Spotlights are. I think this is right. Okay. Why don't we go ahead and get started in 2 more minutes? Okay, I think we're ready to get started. My name is Sarah Laura, and I'm the director of the Low Income Taxpayer Clinic at Lewis and Clark Law School. Today, we are fortunate enough to have with us Ariandini Alves, Aaron Robertson, and Elizabeth Dimmitz. And today we're going to speak about the Earned Income Tax Credit for childless workers. We can go ahead and get started. Oh, Ariandini, you're muted.
Hello, everyone. I am Ariandini Alves. Today, as Professor Laura said, we would like to offer you some useful information about the helpful tax credit that you may qualify to receive as a taxpayer. That is the Earned Income Tax Credit. We will call it EITC. Our presentation shall take about 30 minutes, maybe less, maybe a little more. And if you have any questions, please send them to us using the chat function. So let's move to the next slide and see what we have here. Next slide. Thank you. So our goal is to help you to assess if you qualify for the EITC And if so, how to request the credit. With that in mind, we will be doing the following. We'll be following this list that you see on the screen. We'll start by explaining what the EITC is, and then we will talk about who can receive the credit and what the requirements are. After that, we'll discuss how you can get the EITC and whether that will affect your benefits. Next, we'll talk about the process to claim the EITC, errors that you should avoid, what proof you will need to show to the IRS, and what documents to take to your tax preparer. Finally, we want to show you that if English is not comfortable for you, you should not feel intimidated. There are helpful resources that you can use to make this process easier. Again, feel free to leave questions as we go, and we will get to them at the end. Now, I'll turn over to Erin, and she will explain what the EITC is.
The Earned Income Tax Credit, or EITC, is a refundable tax credit that is offered for low-income workers. Since this is a credit, it reduces the amount of tax one owes, and if it is greater than the amount a taxpayer owes, they get the difference. So if, for a simple example, I owed 50 in tax, but I had 100 in credit from the EITC, the IRS would refund me that 50. It would come in a lump sum payment obtained by filing a tax return. How much credit one receives is calculated based on the amount of income one earns, their filing status, and how many qualifying children one has. The EITC is still available to taxpayers who make under a certain amount without qualifying children. Next slide, please. This is a depiction showing that the credit amount looks like based on the different answers of how many qualifying children and how much income. As you can see, the more you make, the bigger the credit until you reach a certain point, and then it phases back out. The bottom line depicts the amount workers without dependents got prior to the changes that are currently in effect. Next slide, please. For 2021, the Americans Rescue Plan Act has created temporary changes to the EITC, in particular for what is referred to as childless taxpayers. This term refers to a taxpayer who simply does not have a qualifying child, and so can often be inaccurate and not reflect the taxpayer's actual reality. This change has resulted in the credit amount being expanded for childless taxpayers for 2021 taxes, as well as a change in the age requirements. These changes increase the amount of income one can earn before the credit begins to phase out or decrease, and has nearly tripled the amount of credit one can receive. Next slide. On this chart, the orange line represents the credit prior to the changes, and the purple reflects the amount for 2021. This is a temporary change and currently only applies to the taxes for 2021. Filing for those taxes is due April 18th of this year, so it's not far away.
You're muted again, Ariandini.
I'm sorry for that. I just want to tell you that there are a few requirements that taxpayers need to meet to receive the EITC. I will introduce those requirements and then we will give you more detail. First, you need to have income up to a certain amount. Second, you need to have a valid Social Security number. Third, you need to be a US citizen or a resident alien. Lastly, you need to observe if your filing status qualifies. If you meet these requirements, according to what we will explain, you may be able to take advantage of this great opportunity and receive your EITC. Next slide, please.
There are a series of requirements to be eligible for the EITC. There is a lot of information, but it is all easily accessible. Further, while listening, you can hear if there are any big requirements you meet or do not. First, the amount of income you earn can't pass a certain amount, which is calculated based on the number of qualified children you have, as well as your filing status, basically if you are married or single. If you are married but file separately, the EITC is not available to you. Second, you must also possess a valid Social Security number by the due date of the return. Third, the IRS requires you to reside in the United States. Fourth, they require that you have no foreign income at all or have made more than $10,000 in investment income. Next slide, please. Other requirements ask that you meet one of 4 age requirements. You must either be at least 19, a specified student, and at least 24, a qualified former foster care kid and at least 18, or a qualified homeless youth and at least 18. There are a few extra requirements to be qualified under the foster care direction. If you are interested in knowing more about it, please let us know. To receive the EITC, you cannot be the dependent or qualifying child of another, and you must live in the US for half the year. Next slide, please. The final requirement is your amount of earned income and whether or not you earn money under the phased out amount. As the table shows you, the amount you can earn is affected by whether or not you are married and the number of qualifying children you have, up to 3. So let's say you are married and filing jointly and have 2 qualifying children. That means if you earn less than $53,865, you can receive the EITC. If you are single and have no qualifying children, then you must earn less than $21,430. Next slide.
By now, let me just check here. By now, you may be wondering if claiming the EITC will affect your benefits. The answer is generally no. Claiming the EITC will not affect your eligibility for benefits such as SNAP, Medicaid, SSI, and public housing. Neither will it affect your public charge status for immigration purposes. Let's move to the next slide. So how to start filing for EITC? This should not be too difficult, and you should be able to do the process with help or by yourself. The first thing to do is check if you qualify. The IRS website offers a tool called Qualification Assistant, which you can use to check if you qualify just by answering questions. Second, get all your documents ready. We will tell you soon which documents are necessary. Third, file Form 1040. Although this presentation is for childless taxpayers, those who have a qualifying child should also file forms scheduled EIC. Fourth, submit the forms along with copies of all of your documents to the IRS. Next slide, please. So reviewing, you must meet at least 4 requirements to qualify for receiving the EITC. Remember, income, valid social security number, US citizenship or residency, and qualifying status. Some points to pay attention are: point 1, what counts as earned income? Wages, salary, tips, and income from any job that you performed, money made from self-employment, certain disability benefits, etc. Earned income does not include payment received as inmate, pension, social security, unemployment benefits, and child support. Point 2, what about those who have no income? You may be thinking about that. Taxpayers may receive EITC even if they didn't have an income tax withheld, but they still need to have an income to qualify. Point 3, how about those who have no valid social security number for employment? Unfortunately, if you do not have a valid social security number for employment, that will bar you from qualifying. Point 4, and how about for those where one is a citizen or resident, but the spouse is not? Can they still receive the credit? Yes, they can. If one of them is a citizen or resident alien and they are feeling jointly. Point 5, what is the head of the household? If you don't know, this is the filing status of those who are not married but pay more than half of the costs of keeping up their home where they live with someone who is their dependent. Point 6, how about those who don't know their filing status? In this case, we recommend you to look for help, either by contacting someone or looking into the IRS website. And our 7th and final point is whether a taxpayer can claim EITC from past years. If you're wondering about that, the answer is yes. Taxpayers have 3 years from the due date of their tax return to do that. Next slide, please. Continue our review. Remember, you do not need to be 19 to claim the credit if you are 1, a former foster youth, or 2, a youth experiencing homelessness. In these 2 situations, you may claim the EITC even if you are 18, as long as you meet the other requirements as well. Next slide, please.
All right. Once you've determined that you meet the threshold eligibility requirements and you're getting ready to claim the EITC on your taxes, here's a few things to keep in mind when filing to ensure that there's no barrier to receiving your credit. The IRS has identified a few common errors that taxpayers make when trying to claim the EITC, which result in a denial of EITC to these taxpayers. Before you submit your taxes, make sure to review for any of these errors. Number 1, your filing status is married filing separately. To make sure your EITC claim isn't denied, if you're married, file as married filing jointly. If your spouse didn't live with you at any time during the last 6 months of the tax year, you may be able to file as head of household. Number 2, last names and social security numbers don't match on your return. For everyone you list on your return, make sure that their last names and social security numbers match what's listed on their social security cards. And number 3, you accidentally underrepresented or overrepresented your income. In order to make sure you accurately report your income, keep all records of earnings for the tax year you're preparing to file for. I'll talk about records to keep in more detail on the next slide. Next slide, please. All right, in order to be prepared for claiming the EITC on your taxes, make sure to keep documentation of your income for the tax year in question. Your earned income statements could be W-2s if you're an employee, 1099s if you're an independent contractor, or net earnings from self-employment, for example. In addition, if you retired on disability, taxable benefits you receive under your employee's disability retirement plan are considered earned income until you reach a minimum retirement age. If this situation applies to you, keep documentation of these disability benefits. Basically, any documents showing that you had taxes withheld should be kept in a safe and accessible place, whether in a physical folder or electronic device. A note to keep in mind about income you may have that isn't earned. Other income statements, as mentioned earlier, such as Social Security and unemployment statements, pensions, stocks, or interest do not qualify as earned income to help you receive the EITC, but you will still need to reference them when filing your taxes. So make sure to keep earned income statements and other income statements separately when saving this documentation. In addition to earned income statements, be sure to keep any proof of expenses or adjustments to income, such as tuition, business, or self-employment expenses, in a safe and accessible place, because you'll also need to report these when claiming EITC. Next slide, please. You may decide to seek outside assistance from a tax preparer when filing your taxes to claim the EITC, such as volunteer income tax assistance, which is a program providing free tax assistance to low-income taxpayers. If you go to a tax preparer, here's a few things you should bring to your appointment to ensure a smooth process and the receipt of the credit that you deserve. First, bring proof of identification, such as a driver's license or other photo ID. If filing a joint return with your spouse, make sure they bring ID as well. Also, bring Social Security cards or a Social Security number verification letter and birth dates for everyone listed on your return. Bring the income statements and records of expenses I discussed on the previous slide to your appointment. If you have them, it will be helpful to bring copies of last year's state and federal tax returns and any tax return you're preparing to file within the last 3 years to claim the EITC. If you have them, it will be helpful if your tax filing warrants a refund and you'd like to direct deposit that, make sure to bring your bank routing number and account number. And finally, if you're filing taxes with your spouse, bring your spouse to this appointment so that you can both sign and e-file your tax return. Next slide, please.
All right, I'm back. So During the last few years, the IRS has made many adaptations to offer information in other languages. As I said, if you're not comfortable with English, don't let it bar you from receiving the tax credit that you deserve. Not all information about filing taxes is available in other languages, but at least some information about the EITC is available. If you type in your phone, for example, the terms EITC, and then you type IRS, and then click on the result that says Earned Income Tax Credit EITC Internal Revenue Service, you will see options to see the information in all these languages that you can see on the slide. The IRS also offers free over-the-phone interpreter services if you need. So let's see what's in the next slide. Talking a little bit more about language, the IRS also provides this flyer with information about the EITC in different languages. We will now show you more resources that may be helpful when claiming your EITC, but don't miss looking into the IRS website if you need help and if you need to look at information in your own language. Maybe you will find it easily. Next slide, please.
The IRS website has an easy-to-use interactive tool, the EITC Assistant, to determine whether you're eligible for the credit. In addition, IRS Publication 596 is an in-depth document about all of the contours of the EITC. If you'd like to view the requirements and filing tips we discussed in more detail, as well as income tables to determine whether you made the threshold income, you can find Publication 596 by going to irs.gov and typing Publication 596 into the search bar. If you're ready to start filing, the IRS has a tool called Free File on their website, which can connect you to a provider offering free guided tax preparation based on your income. If you meet the income threshold requirements for EITC, free online tax preparation will be available to you on Free File. You can find this tool by going to irs.gov and typing Free File into the search bar. And last but not least, Volunteer Income Tax Assistance, or VITA, offers free tax assistance and preparation. You can find a VITA office near you by using the VITA locator tool, which is by going to irs.gov and typing find a location for free tax help. I'm going to drop a document where Professor Laura will drop a document into the live stream chat, which will share all of these resources in more detail with a corresponding link. Next slide, please.
All right, if by now you have questions that you haven't dropped in the chat box, do that because we are almost done. So today we learned about how to take advantage of this tax opportunity, this tax credit opportunity. Make sure that you pay attention to all what we explained here. One, know what to do to find out if you qualify. Observe if you meet the requirements of income, social security number, filing status, residency, and others. Second, know which documents you need to take to the IRS, to send to the IRS, or to take to your tax preparer. Form 1040, copies of social security, proof of income, proof of residency, etc. Three, know where to go to get the EITC filing. And fourth, avoid common errors that we discussed here today and get the appropriate documents ready. Remember that you can find information in other languages as well. Please take note of the resources that we're sharing today and come back to this presentation later if you need to review or any of the information we just gave you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for attending our presentation. I will be posting a link to the flyer. I apologize, I don't have it quite ready quite yet, which is my bad, I apologize. But I will get that link in the live chat right away. And then, yeah, and the video will be up for you to view as well. Does anybody have any last final words or questions? We did get a question is free file like TurboTax? And the answer was yes, it's very similar to TurboTax, but it's free if you meet certain low income requirements. Thank you so much.